Hey guys, it's Jack here today, and today I'm going to be ranking the albums from In Flames, one of my personal favourite bands for a very long time now. I got into In Flames back with albums like Come Clarity. Come Clarity, I think, was the one that got me into them. Reroute to Remain, Clayman, Soundtrack from Your Escape. That was generally the era that got me into them. Since then I've listened to all their stuff. I slowly got into I quickly, should I say, I quickly got into all the early stuff as well, particularly Jester Race and Horacle. Definitely a few of my absolute favourites from the band. So yeah, I'm going to be ranking them in order of least favourite to favourite, and I'm just going to say the ones near the bottom I barely go to at all. Yeah, yeah. Most of these albums I enjoy at least a bit, and then the ones in the top I love. But yeah, let's get the bad ones out of the way, because I tell you what, there are some bad ones. Well, there's one really bad one, and there's a couple that are just quite bad, but not horrendous. Um, by the way, my ranking is a little bit controversial, so if you're easily triggered by different people's opinion and you're just gonna hate on me, whatever. I don't give a shit, to be honest. We all hear things differently, and do your own ranking at the end of the day. But my least favourite album, and probably quite a few people would agree with me on this. I know some people love it. This is by far my least favourite In Flames album, Battles. There's a couple of good songs on here, but there's a lot of bad stuff. There's a couple that are really, really good. Couple of songs, probably 3 songs, 4 songs at best. There's like 13 songs on here. It drags out. There's a lot of filler. This is by far my least favorite. Holy shit, this album sucks pretty hard. There's a few redeeming songs that I really enjoy. Like those songs that stand out really stand out. But other than that, there's a lot of bad stuff on this record, Battles. Funnily enough, this was actually around the time when this album came out back in 2016, was around the time I was heavily getting into In Flames. But luckily, I got into them with the good stuff, Come Clarity, Route to Remain, Sense of Purpose, Clayman, etc., etc. So luckily, that was my introduction to In Flames and not this pile of shit. But I did hear it pretty early on, as obviously it was around the time I was getting into them, and yeah. Even as a newbie, a somewhat newbie of In Flames, was not impressed. So yeah, Battle's my least favourite by far. And second to least, this is probably going to trigger some people, especially the old school In Flames fans. Lunar Strain is actually my second to least favourite. The debut, I do think it's a bit of a step up from Battles, but man, there's a lot of filler on here. I think the first 3 songs are really, really good, and the last couple are pretty solid. The last couple of tracks. But there's a bit in the middle where it's just really just a lot of filler for me. Like in the middle, there's just a lot of filler. And yeah, the first couple of songs I really love. The last couple of songs are really good. And there's just that bit in the middle that just throws me right off every time. Not a terrible album, certainly better than Battles, but it's not one I tend to go back to. Moving on. Now, this is the last one of the straight up albums I don't really like at all, besides a few tracks. Like these 3 albums, yeah, there's a few songs I'd throw in a playlist, but for the most part, I think these albums are not for me. I'm not saying they're bad, because some people might like them, whatever, you know. But my third to least favourite, Siren Charms is next. Yeah, Siren Charms above Lunar Strain. Told you this is a interesting ranking, but Siren Charms, I'm not saying I like this album because it's one of the 3 that I don't like, but I actually enjoy this one a little bit more than the other 2. There's some standout tracks on here, like Through Oblivion, Paralyzed is okay. Few others I really like. Fucking forgot the names of them all. But Rusted Nail, there's a few others as well. This is actually a half okay album. Some people absolutely detest this album, and I'm just gonna say when this album's bad, it's bad. But there's some amazing songs that really stick out, mainly at the front half. I can't remember the name of all of them. But the first few songs on this album are actually pretty solid, and I don't think this album's quite as bad as people make it. A lot of people have it last, but it's not as bad as Battles for me. I can't stick Battles, so I like this album a bit more than Battles and a bit more than Lunar Strain. But I think Battles is the only one I absolutely really don't like. And these two, I don't like them, but yeah. Now we get into stuff now that I think's good. We're not great just yet, but we're good. So, A Sense of Purpose. If you'd have asked me this same question where I'd rank this 5 years ago, I would have said quite close to the top, probably top 5. I used to really love this album, and I still enjoy it. Like, this has some absolute belters, like Alias, The Mirror's Truth, I'm the Highway, and Delights and Angers. Chosen Pessimist is pretty solid as well. This has some good stuff on it, but the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 songs, they're all right. Like, there's some good ones on there, but it kind of falls off a bit for me towards the end. Overall, this is a good album, and I do find a lot of enjoyment. Disconnected is another one I like. First half's really solid, and then I feel like this album sort of favours off a bit in the latter half, but I still really enjoy it. I used to absolutely love it, but as years gone on, I've just I like it. It's a good album. I would still put it on to this day. Next up, I think this album was a bit better. So, A Sense of Purpose was the last one. This was the follow-up to A Sense of Purpose. This is Sounds of a Playground Fading. And I would have, in the past, probably put Sense of Purpose above this record. But going back to it more, I feel like this album is a lot more solid. Because even though Sense of Purpose probably has bigger standouts like Alias, Delights and Angers, etc., this one is more consistent all the way through. And also, A Sense of Purpose does not have Where the Dead Ships Dwell, which is an absolute belter. This is a really good album. What was the fucking single off this record called again? The other single, besides Dead Ships Dwells. The fucking hell. I can't remember all the names of the songs. There was obviously the title track, A Sense of Purpose. I can't remember all of them. There was the other single that I really like, and I can't remember what it's bloody called. If I remember it later in the video, I'll just randomly shout it out. But I do enjoy this album. I think it's quite a bit of a step up from Sense of Purpose. I actually enjoy this one quite a bit more going back to it, so I'm just going to say that. We're starting to get slightly better now. We're still in the good tier, but we're not quite a great tier. But here we are with Reroute to Remain. This album, holy shit, this album's cool. But again, the later half, not that bothered about it. The latter half of this record, first probably 6 songs, really like 7, probably first 7 songs really good. But I think this album's too long. I know I've got it pretty high considering what I'm saying here, but the songs that stick out absolutely slap. I mean, Trigger's on here and Cloud Connected, Drifter's on here, System, the title track. Like, this has got some big stand-up. That ballady one, Dawn of a New Day, whatever the hell it's called. That one, like, this has got some big standouts, but it just drags on too long. There was a couple I enjoyed towards the end, but I start thinking, ugh, whatever. But yeah, the first half of this album, absolutely fantastic. Transparent, I think, is the name of it. It's another one I really like. Sometimes I forget the titles. I just get engrossed in the album and just forget what all the songs are called. Yeah, I enjoy this record. I just think it's probably a little bit too long. If they shortened this to probably 9 or 10 tracks, then yeah, maybe I liked it a bit more. But still, a good record for sure. And yep, moving on. I reckon we're still just in good tier, but we're at the higher end of good tier now. Either Mask is next. This album, holy shit, was their best in a long time. I'm just going to say that this was their best record in a long time. And I liked it a bit more when it came out. Like, if you'd have asked me this when it first came out, I'd have probably called it a great album. And I still think it's a very good album. but I just think there's better ones. Ida Mask is really good. The title track's one of my favourites. There's one song on this album that's pretty goddamn awful though that lets it down. This Is Our House. I've always just even that was the one song that I always hated. Terrible song. But other than that, the album's good. Obviously, I Am Above. My brain's not working properly today. I Am Above. The title track, Ida Mask. I can't remember every single goddamn song. Stay With Me. It's just a lot of good songs across this record. Very good record. Probably don't like it as much as I did when it came out, but I still really enjoy it. And now we're getting into great tier. Soundtrack to Your Escape. Holy shit, I've been going back to this record, and it's quite a bit better than Route to Remain. They really step things up with this record. The riffs sound better. Like the music, like the musicianship just sounds a lot better. Yeah, this is a better record for me. You got Evil in the Closet. You've got My Sweet Shadow. You've got A Touch of Red. You've got Dead Alone, I think it's called. Whatever the fuck it's called. Like the second track, I always forget. Third track even, I don't know. I forget all the names of the songs. Quiet Place, one of my absolute favourites. Friend, one of my favourites. I forget all the goddamn titles of them all, but this is an amazing album. Great album, for sure. We're now getting to the stuff that I really enjoy. Next up, we've got Foregone, the newest album. Yep, this one's better than Ida Mask. This one's aged a lot better already. I know it's only been out just over a year, but this album came out when it came out. It was great. It was mind-blowing. It's still mind-blowing. Even after a year, the Ida Mask, dropped from great to good. This album hasn't. This album still sounds absolutely mind-blowing. Bleeding Out, State of So Decay, Meet Your Maker, Dialogue in B Star, fucking remember the fucking name of the song. That one, In the Dark, I can't remember. Foregone Parts 1 and 2, The Great Deceiver. I remember. The closer we're getting to the top, even in my fucking tired state, I'm still remembering a lot more of the song titles because these albums are generally a lot better. This is a really good album. This is a really good album. And their best since an album that we're going to get to in a bit, Come Clarity, but I'm not saying where it is. So next up, most people's number 1 or 2, it's still just in my top 5. The Jester Race. I mean, does not need introducing, does it? Jester's Dance. Come on, Moonshield. Fucking Artifacts of the Black Rain. Like, this album's a classic. Everyone who's into In Flames should know this album by now. I went back and discovered it when I got into them, and yeah, still absolute classic. Classic. Absolute classic. That's all I can say. It's just ones I like a bit more. And yeah. Big step up from Lunar Strain, by the way, as well. In my opinion, I always preferred this one. Next up, we've got Horacle. Yeah, we've gone from Jester Race to the follow-up Horacle. So yeah, don't worry, they're not all in exact order of release. So we'll see which one goes and which one goes in 1 and 2 and etc. So Horacle, I like this one a bit more. The Hive is on this album. Love the Hive, one of my favourite songs. Jotun, Food for the Gods. I really enjoy this record. I just like other ones a bit more. And let's get to them. Now we're in the top 3. Number 3, my third favourite, is Come Clarity. So this was the album that I first got into In Flames with, thanks to songs like the title track and Take This Life. And then got into songs like Reflect the Storm. Yeah, this album's great. This is one of my favourites. Trying to remember more of the fucking song. Leech, that's a really good one. Dead End. Yeah, this is a good record. I can't remember exactly every song, but I know I love them all when I listen to it. That's all I got to say. So next up, we're in the top 2 now. Which one's going to be 1 and which one's going to be 2? If you know In Flames discography, you know which 2 albums are remaining. Well, my second favourite album is Colony. Had this one on just the other day. I still love it. Ordinary Stories on here, Embody the Invisible. This album's just really good all the way through. And there's others as well. They're not even my favourite songs I just mentioned. Why? I'm brain dead today. What's going on with me? But yeah, this album's great regardless. I'm bloody brain dead for some reason, so I can't exactly point out favourites. I'm fucking brain dead. My favourite though is Clayman. Always been my favourite. Only for the Week was another one of my first In Flames songs. Still love that song to this day. Bullet Ride, Pinball Map. I'm brain dead again. The title track, Square Nothing. As the Future Repeats Today. Satellites and Astronauts. It's just so many good songs. I've missed out some other ones that I love because I'm just brain dead today. And yeah, this is my favourite In Flames album. If you wondered where I'd put Subterranean in the ranking, I would probably put it between Lunar Strain and Siren Charms. I still don't particularly love that album either. It's on probably about the same level for me as Siren Charms. There's just those first couple of releases, Lunar Strain and Subterranean, they just don't do much for me. I just don't enjoy them. You know, I enjoy a lot of the old stuff, as you can see. Horacle and all of them, Colony, Clayman, Jester Race even, are all very high up. But those first few releases, Subterranean and Lunar, they just don't do much for me. So yeah, either way, my favourite is Clayman and my least favourite is Battles, and that is probably never going to change unless they do a Dire album again, which I'm hoping they don't. I'm hoping they're up. I mean, they've been slightly getting better since Either Mask, so let's keep it that way, In Flames. Right, anyway, thank you all for watching and see you next time.